In this example, I'm going to solve the exponential equation 6 to the x minus 3 equals 3 to the 4x plus 1. And I realize there's a glare on the board here. The overhead lights aren't working in my office, so just this is the way it has to be. So the first thing in solving this equation, we're trying to isolate x. And both x's here are floating up in the exponent. So we can't really isolate them when they're up in the exponent. So the first thing we want to do is bring them down out of the exponent using this property of logarithms. So if you have, let's say, common log of, say this was just 6 to the x, then this can be rewritten, getting a good color, as, here, this x can come down, and we can express this as x times log of 6. So this is equal to x log 6. I want to use that principle, or that property of logarithms, in solving this equation. So the first thing I would do here is take a logarithm of both sides. And we get to choose. As long as you apply the same logarithm to both sides of this equation, you can use any type of logarithm you want. Usually you'll want then to, especially one that has x's on both sides like this, it's going to get messy. You're probably going to want to pick one that your calculator will compute for you. So either common log, the LOG button, or natural log, ln. I would choose one of those. I'll use common log on both sides since I know that's what I used in the written explanation in your notes. So I'm going to take common log of both sides of this equation equals log of this. Now I can use this property of logarithms over here and bring these expressions in the exponent down in front. So this is equal to the quantity x minus 3 times log of 6 equals that entire quantity. So notice the parentheses here. And I know this blue marker is not the best. Let's see if we can grab a different blue marker. Oh, purple. Okay, let's see if the purple one works better. This entire expression. So what I was saying is you need to put parentheses around it. It's this whole thing, so 4x plus 1 times log of 3. Okay, now things are going to get a bit messy. So I'll be down out of the glare in just a minute. We're trying to isolate x. I've got an x here, I've got an x here. It looks like we don't have another choice. We're going to have to distribute this quantity log of 6, and we're going to have to distribute the quantity log of 3 on the right-hand side of this equation. Just keep in mind, this log 6 right here, this is just a number. Like you could punch that into your calculator right now. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that. So I want log of 6. So if you punch that into your calculator right now, this number right here is about 0.77815. It goes on from there. But my point is that just that log 6 here is representing a number. So you have a number times x minus 3. I want to distribute that number. Now, we don't really want to use the decimal approximation until we have to. So it's better to write this as just log of 6, because whatever you write here, it's going to be rounded off at some point. So it's not going to be 100% accurate. So instead, just distribute log of 6. So we have x times log of 6 minus 3 times log of 6 equals same deal here. So log of 3, that's just representing some irrational number. You can punch it in your calculator if you want to see a decimal approximation. But it's better not to round it until the end. So distribute log of 3. So this is 4x times log of 3 plus 1 times log of 3. Okay, so kind of a mess. We're working on getting x by itself. So right now I've got x on both sides of the equation. What you should do, and this happens in a lot of math classes, you'll be solving for a variable that appears on both sides of the equation. the strategy for dealing with that is to sort the equation like you're sorting laundry or cleaning your room. Put the x's all on one side, put the terms that do not have an x on the other side. And it doesn't matter left side or right side. But I will move the x's to the left side just because that's my habit. So I'm going to subtract 4x log 3 from both sides, so that I'm going to collect the x terms over here on the left side. These are going to cancel out. So I'll have x times log of 6 minus 4x times log of 3. I'd like to also, so this non-x term, this term that doesn't have an x attached, I want to move that to the other side. So I'm going to add 3 log 6. I'm doing the opposite of what I see here. I left out the O. 3 log 6. That way, negative 3 log 6 plus 3 log 6, those cancel out. I need to make sure I do the same thing to the other side, though. Okay, so now the right-hand side is, this went away. We have log of 3 plus 3 log of 6. And now we're almost home free. So now that you've got your x's collected on one side, you should then be able to factor out whatever that variable is you're trying to solve for. At that point, you'll be able to factor it out. Like this. And then we can just divide by the missing, or divide by the other factor here. So in this case, divide by this log 6 minus 4 log 3 on both sides. So that this goes away, and so this right here is your final answer. So that's an exact answer in terms of logarithms. This is an exact answer. Once you pick up your calculator, what you're going to get is a decimal approximation with these logarithm problems. So if you're asked for an exact answer in your homework, this is the sort of answer you're going to give. It's big and it's clunky, but it is exact. When you input this into your calculator, you're going to need to use parentheses correctly. So if I'm entering this into the calculator, to get a decimal approximation, then here's how I would enter it. Well, I'm going to need more room because I want to enter this all in one line to show you guys. So let me put an arrow over here. This will be, okay, we're going to need to open a parentheses. We got to tell it that this whole thing is the numerator. So parentheses log. Now watch out for your calculator here. A lot of calculators, and I know this TI-30X is the most common one, when you press the log button, it automatically opens a parentheses. So you're going to see this when you press log. If all you want right now is log of 3, you have to make sure you close that parentheses. That's where a lot of students go wrong getting their decimal approximation. So log of 3, close that parentheses up, plus 3 times log, okay, again it's going to open a parentheses when I press log, so I want log of 6, and close the parentheses there, so that I'm taking just log of 6. And now I'm to the end of the numerator, so now I'm closing this parentheses, is paired with this one. Now I'm closing those parentheses for the numerator. And then you would enter divided by, now we'll need parentheses around the denominator. So again, press the log button. It's going to open a parentheses, put in 6, and make sure you close it right after the 6, because we want just log of 6 here. Minus 4 times log of 3. So that right here is what you should input into the calculator. And it should give you about, I wrote this down so I wouldn't have to stand here and do this, negative 2.4874 when you enter that in. And feel free, if you have trouble with that, if you could take a picture of what you've input into your calculator and email it to me, if you're not getting the right value, that's the best way for me to help you then. If you can capture the screen of what exactly you typed into your calculator, then I can help find the problem.